as we predicted in the lead up to Clair Obscur, Final Fantasy better be taking some notes.
Yeah.
Because clearly, 1 million copies sold. Clearly, there's a hunger for this style of game.
So you say that. You're not on Twitter anymore. There was a big conversation that was going around because people were saying what you were saying. What kind of were saying what you were saying. They were saying it, though, in more of a generalization of JRPGs and RPGs rather than just Final Fantasy. And in doing so, they were ignoring tons of games that did stick with this model and played around with it. Just in basically just going off of what's like popular in games nowadays and only thinking in terms of those rather than...
My counterpoint is how many turn-based RPGs are we getting? Persona.
Yeah, Persona as well. There's a lot of other ones, though, that we aren't even familiar with that much. That was being used as examples, but they're games that exist nowadays, and you're eschewing those in favor of just the big one.
My perspective, well, yes, because Final Fantasy matters. Like in the same way that like there's a bunch of survival horror games, but not too many of them matter until Resident Evil comes out.
Well, I'm thinking in terms of like this is specifically more comparable for Final Fantasy because it's going for the same kind of thing that they're clearly leaning more into, more of a high fidelity looking, narrative driven experience.
Right, but my problem is that Final Fantasy tried to go action, and they're not very good at that.
Exactly, and that's where they should be taking inspiration because there's more similarities with a game like Clair Obscur than there is with something like Bravely Default. It's a JRPG game, one of those ones I was describing. Also, Fire Emblem is an example. If we were discussing some,
Fire Emblem doesn't need to change.
No, I know. I'm saying that's a turn-based game to show that there are still turn-based games being made. And it's not necessarily like Clair Obscur is breaking the mold and only doing it for the first time.
Well, I mean, Final Fantasy is a little different, but also like I don't think anything is scratching that old school turn-based RPG itch ever since Final Fantasy left the space. I don't like. There's plenty of examples. Sea of Stars was fantastic, but it didn't like scratch that itch of like a classic like RPG in that style. And I just think instead of evolving the formula, Final Fantasy chose to abandon it. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the wrong choice. Even though it eventually gave shape to things like the FF7 remake combat, but like I think that's fine the way it is. Let that be that, but like put some turn-based back into Final Fantasy 17 should be a turn-based game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To your point, just a side point, I would credit Kingdom Hearts more. With that combat system, again, you have Nobuo Uematsu rather than...
I didn't say it wasn't.
Oh, I mean, you were saying like it was like the move from Final Fantasy to more action-based led to that. I think that's more of a case of Nomura wanting to make a game that he's familiar with making. So he wanted to combine what he did with Kingdom Hearts to Final Fantasy.
Listen, the more educated take is that Kingdom Hearts started the action RPG trend that you saw from Square Enix games, right? In the sense of like, but it just kept going and going. Like it started in Final Fantasy 13 is where the action started.
No, that's turn-based.
That's turn-based. And then I guess the poor reception to 13 is really what kind of drove us away from that.
But 12 moved away from that as well. They didn't do action like combat, but it wasn't no longer turn-based. You'd take turns doing your shit. They went back to that with 13, and it didn't hit so well, so they did 15.
Yeah, and it
made a lot of money. I think.
Yeah, 15's not regarded well, right? Like
it's not regarded well because the game.
But
wasn't finished.
It's not like one of the worst games ever.
It's not. No.
It's just not regarded super well
because it wasn't finished. But the current edition of the game apparently is very good. Like it just it needed work done. It wasn't good at the game. Because
I still don't think it's like, even with that, I don't think it's regarded as like one of the greats.
Oh, it's not. But it's considered a great game. Not as far as like Final Fantasy's catalog. Yeah, it's not going to be in the top 10 at all. Even I would say.
You think? 10?
Narrative's pretty great. No, maybe not.
What are the top 10 Final Fantasy games? Like this is tough because I've really only played 7.
Well, let's see. I would say Final Fantasy 1, just because I kind of have to. It did something interesting with narrative at the time, though, too. Like, again, that's Final Fantasy revitalized, like, was it Square Enix at the time, or was it Squaresoft? Or I'm forgetting my history, but it revitalized the company, Square Enix, who they were then. But to your point earlier, top 10 Final Fantasies, 7, 6. We kind of already cleared.
So 6, 7. We'll get back to 8, 9, and 10.
9, 10, I think 8, because that wasn't the biggest at the time, but now it's like very well regarded.
But
People
like
have gone back to it.
it's like it's well regarded, but like it's still like but it still has problems.
No, actually, like more narrative seemingly rather than gameplay. Gameplay, it seems like it's very, very
All right,
good.
so all right, we'll do 8.
I'm not that experienced or well versed in 8 as I am with some of the other ones, but yeah, it has to go on there.
All right, we're running out of titles, but okay, it's really
this is 5, right? Final Fantasy 5. That was very high quality at the time. 4 as well. 4 was the first time Final Fantasy was really like, okay,
we're gaining some speed here.
Yeah, we're going really into some like quality direction. I think because of how popular it is.
Okay, before we get to 15, 16, do we start talking remakes and spinoffs?
Oh, I'm stupid.
Oh,
Final Fantasy 14 Tactics. Is that 9? It was 8.
Oh, 14's in there. So that'll put us at 9.
Yeah. So one more. I'm pushing for.
I reach for Rebirth.
I'm stupid. Yeah.
Rebirth. I gotta ask. Excuse me. Does 15, 16 or remake go in before 4 and or 5?
Not remake's the best argument. 16 has a lot of issues gameplay wise,
but I think if you're making like an objective list, I mean, arguably you throw 1 in there, like you said, just because it started it all, yada 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 yada.
And it's also harder because 16's more mass marketable. Maybe it's not necessarily better, but you could probably just get more normal people playing that game and enjoying it more than 4 or 5. So I guess that does factor into it as well. Besides my own personal opinion,
I don't know if 16 is important to the story of Final Fantasy.
I mean, it's not, but that's because it's already established. It doesn't need to, it's not setting a new space for Final Fantasy.
Whether 16 failed or succeeded, it landed somewhere in the middle. Whether it failed or succeeded, there's always going to be a 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did that put us at? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep. 14.
I think you stop there with the old ones. Do you agree?
Well, we'll go 14 Tactics.
14 Tactics is also an old one, yeah. 14 Tactics.
Rebirth. I think it's
Rebirth. And this is where we put 4 and 5.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have to say remake. Because it's for what remakes are nowadays. It changed it. Rebirth, maybe quality-wise, deserves.
How did remake change what remakes are?
How did it? Because it contextualized it not as just redoing the same thing over, but tying it up to the
but that only works for Final Fantasy VII.
Fair.
Like if Dead Space did that, I'd be like, "What the fuck are we doing?"
The marker, it has special powers.
The marker.
You could make it work for Dead Space more than most, but I
don't think you could. I don't think you could.
I agree with your point overall.
You know, Metal Gear Solid 3, I'd be like, what?
Fair enough. Just because Rebirth is very similar and it's just built itself upon it so much so. They play a lot. They play very similar.
Yeah,
and just expanded upon. In that case, I would put 4. Because 4 is like
4 over 5.
Yeah. Because 5 is like quality wise maybe better, but 4 did some interesting things narrative wise.
Okay.
It was the first like really strong Final Fantasy narrative where it's.
Do we do 1?
Not necessarily, but.
Do we do 1 or 5?
Not 5. 1 over 5, I would say.
Think so?
Just because of how foundational it was.
I also hear 2 and 3 are pretty great too.
2 I've heard a lot of criticisms about.
Oh yeah.
3 is more in that running.
Oh, I thought 2 was one of those. We went the wrong way. But now we know not to go that way.
It was a while ago since I've heard some of these opinions on it. So of course, like with 8, things have changed and developed. I wish I had more experience with Final. I am the Final Fantasy guy on this podcast. I am not.
You're the best equipped, but you may not be the most equipped.
I'm not the most equipped. So anybody who's like, but this game, you're probably right. You know, I'll give it on that.
The other 2 of us, bringing Phil into this, have only played 7.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess Phil played 16. So there you go.
That's true. Yeah. Where are we at?
1 in. You put 4 over 5?
Yeah, because it seemed like it was more. It also. I'm not the most well equipped also to talk about 5 as much as I am 4 because I played 4. And 4 does very interesting things narrative, and I know that's shared by a lot of other people.
Sure, 8 should be in this list.
I guess you can argue against it. Again, it goes back to me not being as well versed as I would like to be. I'd be willing to take it out just because there is some still contention amongst that where like 4 and 5, I've never heard anybody say anything negative about those at all.
I think we take 8 out, put 5 in.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So 1, 4, 5. I'm trying to go in release order as much as possible. The 1, 4, 5, 6, Tactics, 7, 9, 10,
14,
14, Rebirth.
I'm fine with that.
I think, from what I know and how the culture talks, I think that's a fine list.
You heard it here, guys. Definitively the best Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, from the people who know. He's played 4 of them. I've played 1.
How many have I played? I played a little bit of 3, but that doesn't count. 4, 6.
I have
7.
thought about randomly loading up some of those Pixel remaster games.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been wanting to as well.
Just quietly playing them and not saying anything until I'm there. You know,
I played 8. No, spinoffs.
Oh yeah, the spinoffs get crazy.
No, I played more. I played 12. 13. I played 13. Yeah, better than most people, but not the supreme authority.
So if you take spinoffs and remakes out of the list, which really only eliminates Tactics and Rebirth, what else do you fill in? Now you got to start looking at 16, right?
Yeah, but Tactics is not really a spinoff. It's just its own game that's different from the base model.
It's a tactics game.
Yeah, but spinoff usually implies
turn-based.
that it's a spinoff of something that already exists, like of a game, and they just do a different take on it, rather than like narrative wise. Like it still lines up with the game it's spinning off of, but it can't stand on its own. Like it's part of something else. Well, no, that's not spinoff. Yeah. As I'm arguing against it, I'm seeing my faults.
What do you mean it doesn't stand on its own? Isn't it like the same thing where it's just a new story, new characters, and stuff? But it's a different game. Like
it's not mainline.
It's a different genre. It's not a mainline. Yeah,
mainline's the more important part. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. But yeah, those 2 removed.
14 cheats because they put a 14 on it.
They did. Yeah. I would include 16. I think because of how
I think 16 enters the conversation if you take Tactics and remake and Rebirth out.
Mm-hmm. 16. Oh, I want to say 12, but it's not going to be it. It'd probably be 3. That's one I've heard.
13 has been looked upon
more
favorably with time.
But the issue is a lot of that's still not great.
It's not
character-wise.
It's not fully an 8 thing. It's
mainly because the characters. They don't, like as a Final Fantasy game.
10-2.
Or do we just? Oh, 10-2? Oh,
do we just lump?
No, they're different.
Do we just lump sequels? No, they're different. Okay.
Yeah, it's a sequel, really.
I don't hear much about 10-2
because I haven't heard much from it either.
Yeah,
I have it because I have the new one that came out has both 10 and 10-2, and it continues the narrative in one substantial way. But besides that one substantial way, yeah, I've never heard anybody talk about 10-2. That and the main character designs people really like. Female protagonist, which is usually not a Final Fantasy mainstay. I will say, but
10-2 has an 85 on Metacritic.
Oh, like quality game, I have no doubt. But again, this is back during the thing we consistently see on this podcast is
fucking shit. Final Fantasy 10 is 92.
Oh, it's well loved.
No, I know. It's just, but like even the gap there, like I can understand why 10-2 isn't regarded because like that's a drop.
Yeah,
like once you start breaking those 90s, like each point is basically worth 5 points.
A lot. Yeah, it is.
10-2.
No, I mean not 10-2. Oh yeah, I was going off to the side to say the best thing about Final Fantasy 13 is Lightning. She's a great protagonist.
Well, that's why like 13-2 is
it's not
is a light. Which one's Lightning?
13-3. No, it's not called that. 13 Versus? What's it called? I never played
13,
that one.
13 Versus is the game that got canceled and then turned into 15. And then they put it in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13.
It's a Crisis Core styled thing. In terms of like naming convention.
Oh yeah.
All
it's 10-2 was the 13-2 was gameplay wise better. I can't talk on this. I played it. It's been so long. And I remember 13 going into it. I heard a lot of bad things about it, but I enjoyed my time with it. Besides these characters don't do anything for me, especially after 12. Which
do you think they ever stop? Just saying numbers.
Yeah,
do you think they ever stop putting a number on it?
I know you're gonna say yes. No, I'm a traditionalist.
I don't. It's not a hard yes.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, it's a soft yes for me. But like, I think they should. But like, I don't like. It's like I think it's fine. I think they can get away with it.
I focus on politics a lot and conservatism in the U.S. That's people who kind of are conservative, more traditional. I always like, accept the new things. Why are you so stuck in the mud and like back in the old days kind of shit? Not for Final Fantasy number
Such a roundabout way to get to that point.
I'm a conservative on that. Like, no, why do we change it? It's worked every single time. It's been
It
out.
hasn't worked.
It
There's examples where it has not worked.
The game design's the problem, not what you say. It's.
But I mean, you deal with that thing of like a bunch of people going, "Do I need to play all 17 Final Fantasy games to get to this one?" And this would kind of eliminate the need for that if you just said Final Fantasy. Or whatever, or if you even just short it down FF : whatever the main theme of your game is.
I mean, you're not wrong in a way, but I don't care.
I'm never wrong.
That's not true. I just said you're not wrong.
And I'll prove it next week. Subscribe, Breath of the Wild review.